Hello and welcome to an Aristocrat Humidor humidification tutorial. Today we'll be focusing on the Hurricane II system for 15 to 60 cubic feet of volume in either large cabinets or for lockers when the long sensor option is applied. Normally this is a cabinet of around 3 to 6 feet wide and 6 to 8 feet tall. Let us start with the unboxing. Go ahead and open the box and access the internal components. The first thing you will find is the instruction pack, which has our installation instructions, the programming guide, and the manufacturer's booklet. Next, we will remove the extra wick that comes with the Hurricane. And now for the brown box, which houses the control, or the heart of the system. Then the 1-gallon Hurricane reservoir with 120 millimeter fan. Remember to keep the packing until the system is up and running and you're satisfied. Moving on to the brown box, which houses the wires in the control system, we start by removing the cable management pack, which houses screws and clamps, the 5-amp power supply with separate 110 plug. We have our power connecting cable with red P, our humidification connecting cable with blue H's, and the heart of the system, the controller, which is accurate within 2% and will keep the humidor within 2% of the set point. To install the control, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver and a drill with a small bit and your cable management pack, which houses several screws. Remove the paper side of the double-sided tape on the angle mount bracket of your control and locate it within your humidor about 2/3 of the way up and in an accessible position. Put pressure on the double-sided tape to make sure it sticks, and it will allow you the time and the ability to now drill a slight hole to prepare for the screw, as you can see here. Then, using the Phillips head screwdriver, use one of the number 6 1/2 inch black screws and secure one of the holes of your control as such. Then go ahead and use the second of the included screws and be sure to secure the second hole on the angle mount bracket. And this will have your controller secure and safely positioned. Now locate your Hurricane humidifier somewhere centered and towards the rear of the humidified space. With the Hurricane humidifier in place, you can go ahead and fill it with distilled water, noting that there are black fill lines that you must not go over. If you do, you will lower the amount of airflow and decrease the maximum humidity that the Hurricane system can produce. Moving on to the wiring, we have the control and the humidifier easy to see. We will start with the humidification connecting cable labeled with blue H's and make the connections with blue H to blue H from the controller over to your 1-gallon Hurricane humidifier as seen here. Now we will move on to the power connecting cable labeled with red P's. Connect it to the controller and then go and connect it to the 5-amp power supply that was supplied with your humidifier system. Connecting red P's to red P's once again. Then connect the separate 110 power plug to the 5-amp power supply and then plug it into the wall and you will have energized the system. Here is a sample of the control inside of a cabinet and wired. Red P to red P, blue H to blue H. The R is for an auxiliary fan not used in this system. The wires are secured in place using the clamps and screws found in the cable management bag. Go ahead and locate the humidification power wires down where the humidifier will be at and connect it, and then find where the hole to exit the cabinet will be at. Then go ahead and push the power Molex connector through the hole, having your grommet ready. With the connector through and only the wire itself now exposed, go ahead and entrap the wire with the grommet as such. Then push the grommet into the 5/8 hole to seal it, and then push the remainder of the wire through. Remember to use the included clamps and screws to tighten the wires for a more aesthetic look once you have everything wired together. The 5 amp power supply can also be located within the humidified space. Simply use the grommet to encapture the separate 110 power cord, then use it to seal the hole and connect the power cord to the 5 amp power supply. With the system wired and energized, you'll see the controls cycle between temperature, that shows a whole number, and humidity, which always has a decimal, such as 65.4. The rain cloud here indicates that the control is signaling for humidity to be supplied. Our Hurricane with Set and Forget humidification system has a variety of auxiliary components that can be applied. Everything from changing the sensor length to adding another humidifier and a variety of other options. This is our long sensor angle mount control option. It allows for the sensor and the control to be placed in optimal positions for accurate humidity sensing, as well as ease of access or viewing of the control and display. The long sensor configuration is very necessary in the locker if you intend to have the display somewhere low near the humidifier. The sensor then must be placed high in a different section of the locker unit. There are 2 standard options for connecting 2 Hurricane humidifiers to one control. The first is a Y splitter mounted at the back of the control. The second is the Y splitter being mounted at the first humidifier. This setup is typically used in wide but very shallow humidors. There are options for the type of fan on the Hurricane reservoir. There is an 80mm version for smaller spaces or applications where not as much humidity is required, such as instrument storage. Secondly, there is a red-bladed near-silent fan option. This is typically used when noise is a factor, or once again for smaller humidors or when not as much humidity is required. Another auxiliary component that can be added to the Hurricane humidifier reservoir is the float valve. It is for a continuous supply of water to be added at the correct volume. This does require access to a preferably filtered water supply. One last auxiliary component would be a flex duct. This allows for the humidity output to be moved and/or directed as necessary. The duct kit also allows for the Hurricane reservoir to be placed in a separate space and to duct the humidity into the humidor or humidified space. In this troubleshooting section, we will go over several of the common issues that can come up with the Hurricane humidification system. The first issue is simply changing the wick. Press this release to lift the latch out of the way and unlock the top. Then remove the old wick. This is a good time to clean the reservoir with some warm soapy water or a light bleach and water solution, remembering to rinse very thoroughly to remove any residues left over from the washing. Then replace the new wick into the exact position that the old wick was removed from. We must go over the fill lines. When adding water to your Hurricane reservoir, you must not go over these lines, or the amount of the exposed wick is lessened and the humidity produced will be decreased. Thank you for watching the Aristocrat Humidor humidification tutorial on the Hurricane system. Please like, share, and subscribe.